Yo, what is going on, guys? Got a story for you here today titled Found Out My Wife Was the College Bicycle. She Had a Meltdown When I Packed Her Bags. So here we have a story of a man who finds out that his wife is not the princess that he thought that she was, okay? And understandably, when men find out things like this about their wives or their girlfriends, men are not very happy. This is incredibly important to men in the same way that a man's future is important to a woman's past is important to a man. Now, society will tell men that we are not allowed to judge, okay, that we are not allowed to have an opinion on that. But I say to hell with that. I think that men are certainly within their rights to divorce these women, to break up with these women, and so on, if they find out some negative things about their pasts. Lord knows, guys, women will absolutely do that if they question your future. So before we jump into today's episode, I just wanted to do a quick announcement that I have set up a second channel where I will be doing near daily TikTok reaction videos again. So if this is a style of videos that interests you, you miss seeing it here on the main channel, well, I have dipped my toes once again into the cesspit that is TikTok, and that will be linked in the pinned comment, guys. The second channel will be linked in the pinned comment. So let's jump into this article here. It says, a 36-year-old man discovers the shocking truth about his wife's college past after 5 years of marriage. What began as a wholesome love story turned into a whirlwind of betrayal, shame, etc., etc. Let's jump into the story. He says, we met at a wedding and she seemed like the real deal. I'm a 36-year-old man and my now ex-wife is 34. We met at a friend's wedding 7 years ago. She was charming, well-spoken, carried herself with class, honestly the kind of woman you bring home to your mother. At the time, I was working in finance and she was an interior designer and we clicked right away. We dated for a little over a year before getting engaged. She never gave off any red flags. Her friends all seemed stable. She had a good career, didn't drink excessively, didn't party much, and everything checked out, he says. She talked about wanting a normal life with kids someday, maybe building a family, and that was all I wanted too. So we got married and we bought a house in a suburb outside of the city. I thought that I hit the jackpot. Right, so a few things to mention before we continue here, guys. Number one, apparently, she never gave off any red flags whatsoever. Now, when men say this, right, and then they get screwed over by women, for example, there is a red flag. Usually the men just don't notice it. Oh, I thought everything was fine. You know, I thought that she was a great catch. I thought I got really lucky. Okay, but the thing is, right, what age was this woman when she met him? 27, I believe, 34 minus 7, 27-ish years of age, right? This woman was thinking, okay, I'm going into my 30s. I need a successful guy, right? I need a guy who I can lock down, who's going to commit to me. I've had my fun with the Chads. I've hooked up with them for a few years now, but now it's time to get serious, okay? So she goes out there, she finds a man working in finance, and he doesn't recognize the red flags. He thinks that he's getting lucky. Maybe it's the first time he's received attention from a woman like this, one that he deems to have class and all of these sorts of things. But the problem is, guys, by the time women get to this age, they know how to manipulate this stuff, okay? They know how to appear like a good option even though they're not. And so, you know, these guys, they won't spot the red flags because they're not actually looking properly. They don't understand what the game is really about. And guys, like, before we even continue, older women will be the first to tell you this, by the way, right? If you talk to older women about these younger women and their ability to manipulate men, they will tell you all about it, man. The older women know, trust me, they absolutely know. He says her past was always a private topic, apparently. How did we go from the woman never having red flags to him saying that her past was always a private topic? Because I don't know about you, but that is a very damn large red flag. Okay, maybe I'm imagining things, maybe I'm going crazy, but this is what I mean, man, right? Dudes will say, oh, she didn't have any red flags, but you're not allowed to ask her about her past. Okay, sure. Yeah, that makes sense. From early on, I noticed that she was a little guarded when it came to her college years. She went to a well-known state university, she lived on campus, and graduated with honors in business before pivoting to design. Whenever I'd ask about that time, she would gloss over it. She would say it was college. You know, nothing exciting, just studying, working part-time, partying a little like everyone else. At the time, I didn't push it. We all have a past, right? Okay, so partying, guys, no red flags, by the way, but she lived on campus and she, you know, she partied a little like everyone else. Okay, if you're a dude and you know women, right? This sentence right here is a red flag. She is downplaying what the hell she did. We all know this. We all know this. But she was always oddly uncomfortable about old photos, reunions, or even running into former classmates, like she was constantly trying to outrun something. It all started to unravel at a neighborhood barbecue about 6 months ago. One of the guys brought a friend from out of town. It turns out he and my wife went to college together. When he saw her, his eyebrows shot up. He said, "Holy." He said loud enough for everyone to hear. "You married her? Man, everybody knew her back in the day." I asked what he meant, trying to play it off with a laugh, but he clammed up. She turned red. She was visibly shaken. She excused herself inside and stayed there the rest of the evening. That's when the pit of my stomach started. This has to be up there with, you know, a lot of men's worst nightmare. Okay, right? It's like you're marrying a woman, or you've married a woman, or you're, hell, even if you've got a girlfriend or something like this, and some other dude knows her because of her past, right? And he vocalizes it. This has to be one of the most embarrassing things that a man can go through, right? Especially a married man, because you've really committed, okay? You have committed legally to this particular woman. Very scary stuff. You know, women will always call men insecure about this stuff. They'll always throw out the, you know, the shaming language and all of this stuff. But I can't stress this enough. This is really important to men. You know, stuff like this is absolutely really important to men. And a lot of guys are very clear about it. And that's why the women lie, okay? Because the women have to lie. Because if the women do not lie, the men will realize that they're not worth marrying. That is the problem. So let's continue with this story here. Oh boy, she's in for it. That night after she went to bed, I did something I never thought I'd do. I went digging. I hit up old forums, college Facebook groups, even Reddit, and it didn't take long. Her nickname was all over the place. Let's just say it involved 2 dorms and an entire fraternity chapter. There were stories, there were screenshots, there were yearbook photos, guys referring to her like a local legend. He said, "I couldn't sleep that night. I felt like I didn't even know who I had married." So this dude found her on Facebook groups and Reddit. Reddit, man. My goodness. My goodness. He says, "I felt like I didn't even know who I had married, and he couldn't sleep." This makes sense. This absolutely makes sense. The next morning, I calmly sat her down and I told her what I found. She went dead silent. And then she started crying, asking why I would snoop or go looking for things that didn't matter anymore. I told her what mattered was the lie by omission. Not once did she give me a real picture of her past. I had built a life, a future with someone that I didn't truly know. She didn't deny any of it. She just kept calling me judgmental and immature. There's that shaming language that I was talking about, guys, right? Men are not allowed to have boundaries or things that they are uncomfortable with, because that makes you judgmental and immature. Imagine if dudes went around, right, and they were like, "Hey, you have to marry, as a woman, you have to marry fast food workers, and if you don't, it's because you're judgmental and immature." And I have nothing against fast food workers, for example, guys, but Lord knows women don't typically want to marry a guy who works at McDonald's. We all understand this, right? We all have a grasp on this particular situation, but you don't hear men going around calling women judgmental and immature for not wanting to date men who, you know, who don't make X amount of money per year. Interesting how that works, right? The shaming language comes out when men have preferences and boundaries. When I told her that I wanted a divorce, she lost it. She started screaming, she started crying, threatening to call my family and tell them what kind of a man I really am. Said that I was insecure and said everyone has a past and that I was destroying a good marriage over stories. But to me, it wasn't just about the past. It was about the cover up. I had been lied to by a mission for years, and she wore a mask every single day. I wish these guys would be more honest, right? They're saying like, oh, it's about the lie. It's not about what she actually did. It is about what she did. Like, let's be honest here, man. And any dude who has reasonable levels of testosterone, okay, is not going to be happy about this past whatsoever. Yes, she lied, and that's bad. But obviously, what's more concerning is the past. I don't like when dudes see they don't want to face the social repercussions, right? Of this type of situation. They want to say, "Oh, you just lied to me by omission, and that's not what I'm comfortable with." Right? But let's be honest about it, guys. The guy is not comfortable because his wife has been with the whole damn dorm. Okay, which is very reasonable, in my opinion. Very, very reasonable stuff here. I think that the dude should be honest to her, to be honest with you. Not that she was honest, but I think he should be honest to her and honest to himself, more importantly. This woman doesn't really deserve honesty, but at least honest to himself would be nice. He says, I gave her 2 weeks to find a new place. I moved into the guest room. She kept trying to work things out, but all of her solutions revolved around me pretending that I didn't do anything. I didn't know anything, he says. I couldn't do that. When the day came, she broke down, like full-on meltdown. She was on the floor. She was sobbing, begging me to forget everything. She offered to go to therapy to make it up to me to start over. But I could not do that, not after the lies, not after realizing that the woman I married was a character she had written just for me. I moved out, I filed for divorce, and I started therapy because I needed it. Not because I regret leaving her, but because I needed to understand how I got so fooled. Honestly, these therapists are probably not going to help you. And honestly, I'm not angry at her past. I'm angry she built an identity for our marriage on a lie, and that is what broke me. Again, guys, I wish these dudes were honest with themselves about the fact that they're uncomfortable with their wife being with the whole fraternity. Because, like, I personally would agree with that. You know, I think that dudes have a right to not want to marry these types of women and to be uncomfortable with that. It makes perfect sense to me. I wish that dudes didn't have to tiptoe around the issue, or at the very least were honest to themselves about it. But guys, we're going to be leaving today's episode there. Don't forget to leave your thoughts and your comments. Make sure you take care of yourselves, and I'll be seeing you all in the next one. Peace.